On October 18th, 2018, a 911 call came in from a Wausau, Wisconsin laundromat. A frantic mother had just pulled her 2-month-old son, Benson, from his car seat, only to realize he wasn't breathing. His tiny body was cold, his limbs were stiff, and his skin was a shade of gray. His mother screamed for help while desperately trying CPR. The mother's sister, in a state of shock, called 911 for help. But by the time first responders arrived, it was too late. Quote, "You killed my sister's baby," the sister texted the babysitter, Marissa Tietsort, just minutes later. Baby Benson had been dead for hours, and what police would soon uncover was more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, your midweek mini edition. If you didn't know already, hi, my name is Kai, and I'll be your host. If you're new here, sit down, take a listen all the way to the end, and if you like it, then go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any more true crime stories. Also, if you like how I retell each case, please don't forget to leave me a 5-star review on whatever platform you're on so you can help out the podcast. It's just a really quick, free, easy way to help out Love and Murder. If you're a returning lamb, thank you so much for your continued support, and I ask that you leave a 5-star review too if you could, please. I also want to remind you that another way you could subscribe to Lamb is by simply going to our Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder. You can subscribe to Lamb for free on the Patreon if you're not ready to become a sponsor, and you do get some benefits from being a free subscriber. If you are looking to be a sponsor of Love and Murder and get some bonuses, then check out the tiers and choose the tier that aligns with the bonuses that you want. You get bonus episodes, case extras, and so much more by being a sponsor of Love and Murder. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, let's get back to this midweek mini. Hours earlier, 31-year-old Marissa Tietsort had been babysitting Benson and his older brother at her Wausau home. At some point between 3:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m., Benson suffered fatal blunt force trauma to the head, an injury so severe that his tailbone was completely broken off from his spine. But Marissa didn't call 911. She didn't even try CPR. Instead, she covered up his death. She dressed Benson's lifeless body in a snowsuit to hide how stiff the body was. She then wrapped him in his car seat and pulled his hat over his eyes to make him look like he was sleeping. Then she loaded him into her car and went about her evening as if nothing had happened. At around 6:30 p.m., Marissa's boyfriend came home. She still said nothing. Instead, she loaded Benson's body into the car and took him, along with her boyfriend, their son, and Benson's older brother, to McDonald's. For 15 minutes, she sat inside the restaurant eating, while Benson's lifeless body just sat feet away. No one noticed anything was wrong. I mean, I sure don't blame the boyfriend, because all she could have told him was that the baby was sleeping. What's he going to take from that? You know what I'm saying? When Benson's mother arrived at 9:20 p.m. to pick him up, Marissa kept up the act. Quote, "I put a hat over his eyes so his mom wouldn't realize he was dead," she later admitted. Benson's mother, thinking her baby was just sleeping, took him home. Minutes later, at the laundromat, that's when she realized the horrifying truth. An autopsy later revealed the full extent of Benson's injuries. Remember now, he is only 2 months old. So let's get into these injuries. Multiple skull fractures, blunt force trauma to the head, and like I said, his tailbone was completely severed from his spine, an injury that required tremendous force, and none of these injuries could have been done accidentally. Nothing Benson could have done, even if he fell off the couch. Babies are resilient. You're not going to get multiple skull fractures from falling off a couch, or you know how just babies have accidents, or even you drop the baby accidentally. None of this is going to happen from that. A forensic pathologist confirmed that Marissa was the only person with Benson when he died. But when police found her hours later at a hotel pool, she was chilling in the effing pool, y'all. She was Anyways, when they found her chilling in the frickin' hotel pool, she denied everything. Now, Benson wasn't the first hurt child under Marissa's care. Her child abuse history went back nearly a decade. How the bloody was she not in prison? In 2010, Marissa's boyfriend filed a child abuse injunction against her for leaving their 1-year-old son in a hot car and abandoning him in the rain to go to a party. Why are people still having children around her? In 2017, a 3-month-old baby suffered a skull fracture in her care. She claimed the baby's sister hit him with a bottle, and doctors said the injuries didn't match her story. Was the sister a 300-pound bodybuilder? I don't understand. And was the bottle made of tempered glass or something? In August of 2018, an 11-month-old girl suffered severe facial injuries in her care. Marissa claimed that she fell off of a couch, but doctors determined that was impossible. You know how many times I fell off a couch? And this wasn't even me as a baby. You know how many times I fell down the stairs? You know how many? Look, you're going to say she fell off a couch. Again, babies are resilient. Falling off a couch is not going to cause severe facial injuries unless, ma'am, your couch is like on the precipice of a cliff face and the baby hit every single rock on the way down while falling off the couch. Just a week before Benson's death, Marissa was formally charged with child abuse and ordered by the court not to babysit any children. She ignored the order. Instead, she took in baby Benson, knowing full well she wasn't allowed to. She even texted the mother, asking her to keep it a secret. I'm sorry. I beg your finest pardon. If anyone told me this, I actually don't even care the reason. If anybody told me to keep this a secret, like I'm going to babysit your child for you, but just don't tell anybody, keep it a secret, I'm not leaving my child with you. Please keep it a secret because I'm hiding out from an abusive ex. Well, I'm sorry you're going through all of that. You know, I understand. I really do feel for you, but I think I'm going to find somebody else, you know. I feel for you. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry about your situation, but me and my child is not going to be in this situation because I don't know if your ex going to come and you know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's going to come and do something to you while my baby's there and then my baby gets caught up in the mix. I really do feel sorry for your situation. I'm not making light of that, but not around my child. So if you tell me that, you know, keep this a secret, that's okay. I'll call in from work and I'll find something else. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Do you even agree with me? Or do you think I'm just being too paranoid? I mean, I honestly don't care if people think I'm being too paranoid. I'm going to stick with my decision anyway, but I just, just curiosity. I just want to know, do you agree with me or do you think I'm being too paranoid? Anyway, after her arrest, Marissa changed her story multiple times. Oh, and I do want to point out that this is just me talking based on what I would do. I'm not getting on that mom at all because I'm not in her situation. I say this without actually being in that situation, even though I'm 99.999% sure that, this is what I would do. But either way, I am not getting on that mother's case. I don't know her situation. I don't know what her mindset was. I don't know what was going on. So that was just me talking for me, not harping on that mother. Anyway, like I said, Marissa changed her story. First, she said she had no idea Benson was dead. Then she admitted that she knew he had died, but she didn't know why. And finally, she confessed that she had thrown him into a playpen out of frustration. Can you imagine a 2-month-old? You just threw them into the playpen and you know what happened then? That means that little boy hit his head on the side of the playpen and she had thrown him like she yeeted him. She yeeted the F out of him. She had thrown him so hard that when his head hit the edge of the playpen, his head severed from the spine. Do you know how hard you have to throw somebody? A 2-month-old. And this is not what, it didn't say that this is exactly what happened, but she confessed to throwing him in a playpen. And I'm deducing based on his injuries that that's what happened. His head hit something. So I'm just saying it hit the edge of the playpen, but it was something. Like, can you freaking... Okay, moving on. Despite her lies and manipulations, the medical evidence was undeniable. On January 4th, 2019, she was charged with first-degree intentional homicide. In 2023, she was sentenced to 43 years in prison. That's it? Okay. Judge Lamont Jacobson told her, quote, "What you have done to these families is depraved." Benson's mother cried as she addressed the court. Quote, "I think about him every day, what his first word would have been, where he would have taken his first steps, all the firsts that were stolen from him. I'm sorry, as the mom, I think she should have a say into his sentence. And if it was me, I say that you throw her, just like you threw my son, you throw her, let her hit her head, sever her spine, and sit there and pretend that she's okay for how many ever hours she did that to my son." Now, I know y'all are probably saying, "Kai, that's so horrific." Guess what else is horrific? What this woman did to the baby. An eye for an eye. And if the court wouldn't have listened to my plea, then I'd have jumped over that thing and tried to get to her myself. I would have been one of those people on video trying to get to the person who hurt my child. It would have taken many, many police officers to stop me. And I know 100% they would just be doing it just because it's their job. But in their heart of hearts, they would want me to get to that woman. They would really want me to get to that woman. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of them were like holding me like kind of loose so I can kind of get to the woman. You know what I'm saying? But woo, that would have been hard to sit there and watch her in court. Now, in just 3 months alone, and this came from reports from 2018, I haven't seen anything from 2025 yet, or even 2024. The last thing I saw was from 2018, but that doesn't mean it's different. I'm hoping it's different. Don't get me wrong. I'm hoping it got better since 2018. And if anybody has seen more reports on what I'm about to tell you, please send it my way because I'm really hoping it got better. But in just 3 months within 2018 alone, Wisconsin had seen 3 infant deaths, each one caused by the very people who were supposed to protect them. In October 18, 2018, that was Marissa's case. November 29, 2018, a 7-week-old baby in Oshkosh was violently shaken to death by his father on his mother's first day back at work. Are you freaking kidding me? She left him with you so she can go back to work. You know how you're like, one of us is going to stay home. We're not going to take him to daycare so we can make sure our children are safe. And so she left you at home so she could go back to work. And you did this? Then on December 12, 2018, a 10-month-old baby in Oshkosh again suffered fatal brain trauma so severe that the swelling cracked his skull. A man caring for him was later charged with his death. Oh my God. 3 babies, 3 horrific deaths. Oh my God. These cases were part of an unusual spike in child homicides. Before these 2 Oshkosh cases, Winnebago County had only recorded 2 child homicides over 6 years. Across all of Wisconsin, about 27 child deaths per year are linked to, quote, maltreatment. But that number only scratches the surface of the abuse happening every day. What these cases all have in common is that they happened in unstable homes, where children were left with unqualified caregivers, sometimes because parents had nowhere else to turn. According to Child Protective Services, in 2017 alone, 42,000 reports of child abuse were investigated. 806 cases were confirmed as physical abuse. The highest rates of child abuse were found in, and this is in Wisconsin, Adams County, which is 100 plus reports per 1,000 kids, Burnett County, and Langlade County. Meanwhile, Winnebago and Marathon counties were right at the state average. There's a state average, lambs, for child abuse. Oh my God. The state average, the country average, the nation average, the worldwide average should be freaking 0. Experts say that children growing up in high-stress homes where there's poverty, mental health issues, or a history of violence are at a higher risk of abuse. Dr. Lynn Sheets, a child abuse expert at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, explains it like this, quote, Kids who grew up in risky families are more likely to become parents with the same issues. And the cycle continues. These kids grow up to face higher risks of mental health issues, more likelihood of struggling with jobs and relationships, and a greater chance of neglecting or abusing their own children. Winnebago County Health Director Doug Gyrin said, quote, "The health of a child is directly related to the health of the parents. So, when a parent is struggling, the child is the one who suffers most, and that is horrifically horrendous. You people are adults. Are you serious? Deal with your emotions like adults or don't have children. They did not ask to be here, and you shouldn't be taking their frustration out on them." Many parents think that they're doing the right thing by leaving their child with someone they know, a friend, a neighbor, a family member. But that doesn't always mean that their child is safe. Dr. Sheets warns, quote, "If you know someone has anger issues, it's better to send your child to daycare than to leave them with someone who might lose control." Okay. It's more if you have someone who can't control themselves. It's better to send them to somebody who can control themselves. I won't even say daycare, because sometimes daycare, what did that woman do in the daycare? We had a midweek mini about her. It was an autistic child. She was sitting there with the chair on the child's head so the child would stop moving. Daycare is not always the answer. There are brain dead people in daycare too. It's really hard to basically trust people with your children. Like if you know somebody that you trust completely, you've seen this person around children, you've seen this person in high stress situations, and they still keep their cool. I'm not saying they don't get angry, but they understand like you don't go crazy in situations. They understand how to conduct themselves. Let me put it this way. They have a control over their emotions. This is the person that I would entrust my child with. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who is responsible, somebody who is emotionally responsible, somebody I trust 100%. And I'm sorry to say there's not a lot of people in this world like that. There's not a lot. I can count on one hand the amount of people I would leave my child with. Now, to continue on with talking about leaving your children with babysitters, I just wanted to go through the reports on what was happening. And since this case was in Wisconsin, I stuck to Wisconsin. So some babysitters, Marissa, for example, severely hurt or killed a child. So another daycare provider in Wausau, Wisconsin, Marissa Sell, was charged in November of 2018 for child abuse after a 4-month-old and a 16-month-old suffered brain bleeds in her care. These women were trusted because they were mothers themselves. So you see that they're mothers, so you're like, oh, well, if you're a mother, then obviously you're a good childcare provider, which is not always true. Being a mother doesn't mean that you should be watching other people's kids. One of the biggest triggers for infant abuse is crying. Many cases of shaken baby syndrome or fatal abuse happens when a caregiver doesn't know how to handle a crying baby. Hospitals in Wisconsin are now introducing a new program called the Period of Purple Crying. And I wanted to bring that to y'all so that you can spread this around. Maybe it'll help other people. So the Period of Purple Crying helps parents understand that crying is normal. And it helps them learn coping strategies when your baby is crying. And they also help you to recognize when you need to step away and ask for help. Dr. Sheet explains, quote, "Everyone can feel stressed when a baby cries for hours, but shaking, hitting, or harming them is never the answer. Babies cry the most between 2 to 5 months, and then it gets better. But for caregivers who don't know this, that frustration can turn deadly. Licensed daycare centers are the safest options for children, but they're also expensive, anywhere from $110 to $200 per week." Remember, this is in 2018. I'm pretty sure it's more than that now. And that's why many low-income parents and just regular income parents rely on unlicensed babysitters, usually without knowing that they might be putting their child in danger. Now, in Wisconsin, there are state subsidies available, but many parents don't even know they exist. And I'm pretty sure your state probably has subsidies also to help low-income parents. But what would you consider low income in this economy? Okay, I'm not even going to get into that. Anyways, Wisconsin families who meet income requirements can apply through the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, or Youngstar, which is Wisconsin's childcare rating system. Kelly Hines from the Parent Connection said, quote, bringing a baby home is completely different from what parents expect. Without support, it could feel overwhelming. Programs like Parent Connect help new parents get support before it's too late. Other places you can get support is moms group and parenting classes, domestic abuse shelters for parents in violent relationships, and the county social services for financial and childcare aid. If parents feel isolated, stressed, or like they can't handle it alone, they need to know that help is available. Please get help and don't take your anger out or your stress out or your frustration out on that innocent child, baby, all the way up to teenager. They're just children who didn't ask you to bring them into your life. So act accordingly. And parents should never feel ashamed to ask for help. We're all human beings. We're all going through the same things. I say this from experience. I had a baby. I was alone with the baby. Well, not that I was actually alone, but the person I was with was not helping at all. So literally I was alone. And my baby had a lot of health issues. She didn't cry a lot, but she did cry a lot at the same time. And I didn't get any sleep whatsoever. I had to constantly be up taking care of her, making sure of this and that, and just the health issues. I did not get sleep for the first 2 years. So yes, there were times where I was overwhelmed. Yes, there was times where she would be crying and I couldn't anymore. Do you think I took it out on my precious baby whose fault it wasn't? It wasn't her fault. She's hurting, she's in pain, she's uncomfortable, whatever. Do you think I took out my frustration on her? Absolutely not. Sometimes I would just sit in the corner and cry. And let me roll it back first of all. If my mother was close, she would totally have helped. If my brothers were close, they would totally have helped. But they weren't. We were in different states, so that's what it was. But when my mother did come to visit, when I tell you I handed her the baby and went to sleep for hours, that's just what I went into a dead coma sleep. That's what happened. But either way, I would literally sit in a corner and cry and get all my frustrations out just crying. And then I would take a breath and then I would go be an adult. I've already told you all this once before. There was one time where I was at my wit's end and I just walked out the house and I sat outside the door. I closed the door and I sat outside the door and I cried right up against my front door. And then I took a breath and I got up and I went back in the house and went to be an adult. This is what I did. This is what you can do. You need to find an outlet. And I'm not saying like some of these cases I read where they just put head plugs in and ignore the child. I'm not saying that. I'm saying get yourself freaking together and then go take care of the child that you decided to bring into this world. Nobody decided it for you. You decided to bring it into this world. Go take care of the child and be a freaking adult, whether you were ready for a child or not. You have it here now. Take a deep breath. Where my mom's from, they would tell you, tie your waist up, which means like, take your skirt or whatever and tie it around your waist. Like basically pull up your big boy panties. This goes to men and women, everybody out there, and be an adult. These children did not just show up in your life unexpected. Be an adult. Be a good example. Think about how you wanted to be treated as a child. Do unto others as you would have do unto you. If you didn't like being hit as a child, don't do it to your child. If you didn't like being treated like trash or being treated like children should be seen and not heard, then don't do it to your child. Stop the cycle. End the cycle. Stop it. Okay. I'm going to get off of my high horse before this turns into something else and I end up start screaming and crying on this thing. Either way, you know where I'm coming from. Be responsible with the children that are entrusted to you. Look in their eyes and see how much these children love you. That's all you have to do. And it'll give you the strength to do the right thing by these children. Do not let life's frustrations mess up this child's life. We are stronger than we know. I understand life is hard. I understand a lot of stuff is going on. Don't put that on the child. It is not their fault. Give them a fighting chance. This goes out to anybody who has children, who is entrusted to take care of children. And if you are entrusted to take care of children, but you know you cannot stand children, don't freaking take care of children. Find something else to do. Anyways, that is my rant. I got a little bit too passionate about this. I don't like people hurting children. I don't like people hurting animals. I mean, I don't like people hurting people, but you know what I'm saying? The most vulnerable, children and animals, like, I don't like it at all. And it really pushes my buttons. Anyways, that is all that I have for you today. Let me know your thoughts on this case in the comments below. If you know of any resources in your state, because I only focused on Wisconsin, list your resources on childcare help, on parenting help, or anything like that from your state in the comments below. Maybe somebody who needs it will see it and will reach out to that department. Other than that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining me. If you like this episode, I don't mean like the contents, but you know. Please leave me a 5-star review on whatever platform you're on. Don't forget that you can sign up to the Patreon for free and get a little bit of extra benefits as a free subscriber, but the most benefit that you will get is that you won't miss a case. Also, if you're ready to become a sponsor of Love and Murder, just look at the bonuses we offer and choose whatever tier that aligns with what you're looking for. And you can help Love and Murder out by doing that as well. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being a lamb. Thanks for listening all the way to the end. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.